Joining us here on the 104.5theteam.com podcast is UAlbany field hockey head coach Phil Sykes, whose Great Danes just captured the America East Championship by beating New Hampshire. It's the Danes' fourth America East title. Coach, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Your team's going to go on the road. NCAA tournament play starts on Saturday. You're going to take on Wake Forest, the ACC champion. What about your team has been so special this season?
Well, it's my 11th season at Albany, and it's funny. I keep trying to figure out the recipe every year, and I think this year, having good senior leaders and having a team that gets along really goes a long, long way.
The Danes go 18-2 this season. Again, they'll take on Wake Forest of the ACC in the first round of the NCAA tournament. You guys had a very, very prolific year individually, which has helped your team collectively. You, Coach of the Year in the America East. You also had the Goalkeeper of the Year, the Midfielder of the Year, and the Rookie of the Year. Speak about the individuals on your team and how your team was just able to be so dominant individually.
Well, Paula Hooser had just a storybook year for our team. I mean, she came in from last year, had an unbelievable freshman campaign, and worked her tail off all summer, crushed every fitness test we had, and was so determined this year. And she just absolutely annihilated all of our individual records from Albany. And I think she just was very, very driven after we lost the final last year. And same thing with our goalie, Maxie Primus, as a sophomore as well. And she had the same kind of determination, and that's a lot of our kids. We have a big rivalry with New Hampshire, and I think after last year that stung, and they were very eager to get back to the conference tournament final.
You beat New Hampshire in that conference tournament final 5-0. It's the first shutout in the final in a decade. What did you guys do in that America East Championship?
I really wish I knew what magic pill we swallowed, but I think when you get to those moments, it's just trying to keep your team calm and relaxed and not, overthinking anything. And, that was one game where I felt like the girls were just so focused and not, obsessed with anything off the game plan. And they came out and just played. And it was just overwhelming dominance on our part from the beginning. I was just so proud to watch that.
Your team 18-2 this season. You've played a number of top-ranked teams in the nation this year, playing at number 5 Syracuse, losing that decision 2-1, playing number 10 Virginia, losing that 3-2 in overtime, but beating at that time number 8 Stanford. So you guys are battle-tested and ready for a matchup with a major conference program, right?
For sure. The first half of our season was really challenging. And I wanted to see where our team was. I knew we had a good team coming back, and I wanted to see how we could hang with these other teams. And we played Syracuse, and we really dominated a good portion of the first half. We can't get on the board and lose a tough game, but learn a lot from it. Same thing with Virginia, and when we went out to Stanford, you're playing a nationally televised game. There's all the glitz and glamour of the Stanford campus in Palo Alto, and a lot of easy distractions. And we played one of our best games of the year against, I think they were ranked as number 3 this year, and pretty much dominated them, which really told me that we could do some good things this year.
You guys ranked number 12 in the national poll, got as high as number 7. I know coaches always say that rankings don't really matter, and it's more just for the media and things like that, and maybe in recruiting it certainly helps. But how important is it to get your program on that national stage? I mean, number 7 is obviously right up there. It puts UAlbany on the map in this sport.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, you see all the Big Ten names, the ACC names, and the Pac-12 names, and then there's Albany. And it's really nice to see. It helps us massively in the recruiting side, and much like our lacrosse team at Albany, with the Thornton winners, with the Thompsons, and our basketball teams, volleyball, and on and on and on. We're trying to put our name out there. Albany is still a very new Division I program, only 11, 12, 13 years, and we're trying to get up, I think, with those UMasses of the world, the Delawares, the Daytons, kind of those big mid-major conferences and teams, and I think we're doing that.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about that. You brought it up, beat me to the punch. With what Coach Brown has done, men's basketball, Coach Abe, women's basketball, Coach Marr in lacrosse, the baseball team's been to the NCAA tournament under Coach Mueller, softball team was there last year. You guys are there again now. and a new athletic director, brand new facilities have opened up within the last 2 years at UAlbany. This is a golden age for UAlbany sports, right? This is the time to get in.
It is, and it's really a fun selling point for recruiting, and I've noticed that over the years that, I just say this is just almost like a new kind of company you're jumping into. It's not an established one that, you're expected to do great things all the time and they have this great history. It's brand new, and just every year something new's coming up, and, this just a football stadium too. It's just such a nice beautification for the campus. You bring a recruit on, you're like, wow, this is amazing, and it's as good as most schools, and each year I think all of our programs, basketballs of the world, volleyball, lacrosse, and so on, is getting the next level recruits because of, our reputation in so many sports, our facilities getting better and better, and our recognition from having such nice success.
UAlbany field hockey head coach Phil Sykes joining us here, 1045theteam.com podcast. His 18-2 Danes scheduled to take on Wake Forest, 14-6 this season, the ACC champions. That game Saturday, NCAA tournament play. Coach, we talked about your team being battle-tested and ready to go. Well, the Deacons have faced 12 nationally ranked programs this season. If this were football, if this were basketball, we'd be talking about Wake Forest being an overwhelming favorite just because they play in the ACC. That's not so much the case for you guys, is it?
Not so much. I mean, it's a little bit different with us. We play not a similar schedule. I think their conference matches definitely help them in a lot of ways, but it also can, you can look at it the other way, it can beat them down a little bit. But, we play a comparable schedule, not the same, but, in facing those kind of teams, we have pretty good success. And I think much like our lacrosse team going to the NCAA tournament, they played Loyola in the first round, which is supposedly the number one team, and Loyola wasn't. They were maybe a favorite, but not a huge favorite, and I think that's similar with us.
You guys set to take on Wake Forest. What have you seen from them on tape or when you've been studying the Deacons? What do you guys need to do on Saturday?
A lot of what we see is sort of conference within similar conferences is just a similar style of play, and in the ACC, the trend is to play really, really fast and really aggressive. And, the way we play is we try to be very skillful and move the ball, share, trust our teammates, and play with good variety. And with them, we played Virginia earlier in the year, and that's how they played. It was really fast, very aggressive, and, it's just preparing our kids for that aggressive side of play and not playing to the referees or losing our focus, just being able to deal with some of those situations. But, one thing we've tried to stress every year is just playing our style of hockey, and we always just say, we're not playing, Virginia or Stanford or whoever. We're playing Team X. We don't really worry about them. We just try to focus on us and doing what we can do.
I've noticed that, Coach, you just said it, that every time I talk with field hockey about someone, if the school or program doesn't have ice hockey, it's always just hockey, never just field hockey.
Exactly.
Coach, I've got one more question for you that I want to ask. Field hockey is obviously a sport that at the NCAA level we associate with women, but in the international level, field hockey is huge on the male side of things. The U.S. performs very, very well in Olympic play, in international competition. I'm curious as to how a man gets into field hockey and what the level of interest is among men in the U.S.
My story is very interesting. I grew up in California, and my middle school teacher was from Pakistan, a guy by the name of Moin Iqbal, and he started to get boys involved in the game in around 1984. Right after the 84 Olympics, where his son was actually the captain of our men's national field hockey team. Our national team coach moved to my town and started hockey. We had no girls field hockey in California, and the national team coach at the time got probably 4,000 or 5,000 boys involved at a young age, and that was a group I was part of. And I kept playing the sport. I ended up making our junior national team, eventually our national team, and played in the 96 Olympics. And all of us on that team had a unique story of how we got involved, because it's not in every town and every state and high school and all that sort of thing. So it's interesting, but I'm very glad I grew up where I did, and I had a wonderful experience playing, and then very, very much enjoyed being able to coach the sport as well.
Coach Phil Sykes, UAlbany field hockey coach. Coach, thanks for being with us. Certainly an interesting story, a great story about how you got involved with the sport. You've been everywhere in it, and hopefully Saturday is the program's first NCAA tournament win. Good luck Saturday.
Thanks so much, Brady.